Speaking to Mdumiseni Ntuli just at the back of the last day of the ANC's National Elective Conference. Of course, thanks for joining us again, TK. I want to just reflect on what Mdumiseni had to say to my colleague, Aviwem Dila, saying the role of the two DSGs. We spoke about this and how it could be a bit of a contradiction between lack of resources and now one position having two people occupying it, but saying he hopes that they will focus on organizing, campaigning and governance as well as building cadreship. That's what he hopes, of course, the significance of those two roles will be.
Yes, and look, it's quite right. I still don't see why you need two, because I think a Secretary General is supposed to be armed to be able to do that, and I think he gets that role very well because he's been playing that role, I think, in KZN for the longest time. But I think it is also just highlighting the key weaknesses within the NCC, where they need to basically modernize those two areas, which is, yes, campaigning, which we all know that they tend to do well, but it's changed. I mean, what COVID did really changed the game. But also just the basic, as he says, not the event, not what we see here for these last 4 days, but basically going back and speaking to memberships, making sure branches actually work if that's the direction they want. So I think he gets it. He gets it quite well.
Yeah. Where do you think he would be best placed? He said that he humbly said wherever the leadership places him, wherever he's called, he will serve. Reports also coming in that he's open to being the next spokesperson taking over from Pule Mabe. But now you've just also reminding us that, I mean, he's been in that role of secretary in KwaZulu-Natal for quite some time now, so he understands, of course, the intricacies of that role.
Well, look, two places I think would work if they really want to harness his ability. One is, yes, I think he still would be a very great asset to the office of Mr. Fikile Mbalula. If egos were not an issue, if threats were not an issue, I think he still would be a great asset. Because you have to remember, and I think Brad Dan said it yesterday, Cyril Ramaphosa became Secretary General of the ANC at age 39. And so I think there is an issue, there is a case for him to be able to be groomed in that way. Or secondly, if there's higher aspirations and they truly do believe in succession planning, put him in the presidency. Give him an administrative role where because we've seen the president lack is almost President Cyril Ramaphosa lacks that link between government and the ANC. I think he could actually play that role quite well. What it looks like in terms of paper, they would have to sort it out. But I think that those would be two ideal positions, either in Fikile Mbalula's new secretary office or a role in the presidency being a link between the ANC and the presidency itself.
Listen, if Mdumiseni Ntuli is listening right now, he definitely has your endorsement in any of those positions. But moving forward, then, what lies ahead for the ANC, do you think, post-conference?
I think things are still the same. South Africans, as I said, it's baked in. Regardless of what the outcome was going to be, South Africans already know what the ANC is. There was no outcome here which was going to make South Africans think, oh, wow, I'm going to go vote for the ANC and bring them back to 60%. If anything was going to be, I'm going to not vote for them and maybe let's make them drop below 45. So it's almost as though things are the same. But if anything, it's more like the ball is in the ANC's court. In previous conferences, it used to be that we need to impress them almost. Like, guys, I've changed, so therefore vote for us. I think it's turned a bit. It's now the ANC's chance to really say to citizens, we can be better. And I think it's a good position for the Republic to be in, because the ANC needs to now come to us and actually serve us. So that's where I think things currently stand.
I know we seldom speak about the opposition in our conversations, but do you think this conference has made work and life a lot more easier for the opposition, the DA, the EFF, the UDM, you name them, watching from the outside, looking into the conference and seeing all these power dynamics? Are they going into 2024 a lot more confident?
If you are the blue party, you could possibly see yourself working with the current president. It's not an issue. If you're the red party, you literally have got a campaign up until 2024 to get rid of the gentleman like you did with the last president. And if you are the party which has elephants on your emblem, you basically see a straight path for you in KZN. And if you're any other political party, you basically are like saying, no, the game hasn't changed. We can still nibble a bit at this ANC.
I want to also talk about the NEC. Voting is taking place. I heard a bit of commotion and just an announcement here. I suppose delegates still making their way, trying to sort out the final 80 in the NEC. What should they look like? What should the National Executive Committee ideally look like in compass of?
Well, I think ideally it should be some administrators, some people from the private sector, because the ANC does have those individuals. And obviously, look, I'm not one of those people who really goes for this argument that, age somehow gives you some special ability. You can be old and have gray hair, but it means you have no wisdom. You can be young, you can be exceptionally foolish. So I don't see what age is, but it needs to be a mix of people who are going to carry the ANC for the next 10 to 20 years. But most important, and I have to harp on this, do you actually have the skill to carry this party forward? And I think that's I suspect that's not what the conversation has been. It's going to be a political outcome. But I guess maybe what we are looking for is this an NEC that can work with the president? And if that's the case, then President Ramaphosa, for a change, has no excuses about delivering for the rest of the Republic. So for me, it's going to be, is this a friendly NEC towards him? So that's really the big thing I can really look out for.
And also, I suppose what you're saying corroborates with some reports saying Ramaphosa needs an NEC that can support him. We often hear about renewal, unity, but will the NEC actually support that vision? Will the NEC not be part of a Taliban or an N12 that actually is working within just to feed information outside to find out ways on which to oust him? So he has also, suppose, work to do in terms of whoever that comes out of that 80, he needs to find a way to make it work with.
Yes, and I think there's a saying says the burden of leadership is that you need to make complex decisions. And I think President Ramaphosa has always shied from that. So regardless of what the outcome is, if you look at simply at the top 7, he has no excuse. He needs to walk out of here understanding that now South Africans, as he maybe ideally would like, are going to simply judge him and say, listen, no more excuses. You cannot say a certain individual is in your way. So if the NEC is hostile, I think he then needs to be seen to actually put them in line, because he is the president and his top 7, I think, will give him that authority. If it's a friendly one, then it basically, I think at worst, has to get the ANC close to 50% at the 2024 election.